thought was that. It can only be a bullet. And moved my right hand to my ear, brought it down. My hand was covered with blood.
Really? Because based on the photo of the fist pumping hand that the whole entire world saw, it was very clearly a blood-free hand.
Just absolutely blood all over the place.
Really? I could have swore that that white collar of yours did not have a single drop of blood on it. So this is going to be a follow-up to my previous video on the alleged assassination attempt on Donald Trump's life, because as anticipated, not only is the tribalism absolutely insane, but there are numerous viral stories desperately clinging to the illusion that the highest levels of the establishment are trying to eliminate Donald Trump because he's this great threat and therefore some kind of savior figure that is going to conquer this evil system. Now, I'm sure you've heard this story running wild and going viral that a company called Austin Private Wealth LLC allegedly shorted 12 million shares of stock in Donald Trump's media and technology company the day before his attempted assassination. Now, what that means, if true, guys, is this company bet that the shares and the value of Donald Trump's company would massively go down, which, if he had been successfully assassinated, would almost certainly be the case, making them a massive amount of money and profit in the process. But this alleged story then gets even crazier by claiming that Vanguard and BlackRock are the majority shareholders of this company, Austin Private Wealth, and that is connected to the Rothschild family, the Bush family, and the infamous George Soros. Which the suggestion obviously being that this is coming from the highest levels of the establishment to eliminate Donald Trump. But again, guys, as I detailed in my previous video concerning the actual physical alleged assassination attempt, this is just far too loud, it's too sloppy, and it's too amateurish to seriously be considered as coming from the highest levels of the proverbial pyramid. Now, similar to what I pointed out in the previous video, where already 50, 60 years ago, they were conducting successful assassinations that were far more sophisticated than that amateurish bullshit we saw with Donald Trump. So too, this isn't 20 or 30 years ago, guys, where amateurish insider trading would take place like with 9/11. In this unprecedented age of information and communication sharing, in the internet revolution, where there are several billion people online, shorting 12 million shares in this manner, guys, is tantamount to committing suicide. They might as well put on a huge clown suit, blowing a whistle and carrying a sign going to the White House saying they are trying to murder Donald Trump. It's that ridiculous. Now, with that said, as can be predicted with a very high level of certainty surrounding such a massive political event like an alleged assassination attempt on Donald Trump, where there are also several billion internet users that can now access this information and find out about any potential insider trading activity, vigilant internet users did indeed discover that there was a massive 12 million shorting of stocks against Trump's company, and they began to sound the alarm bells. Now, firstly, this didn't actually take place the day before the alleged assassination attempt. It was 2 weeks prior, which you may be saying is still very suspicious and you would be justified in your position. However, there are two very big factors that everybody seems to be overlooking in all of this. The first is that anyone that has actually been paying attention to how Donald Trump's company has been doing and how they've been diluting shares, or how the company's stock was dramatically declining, which resulted in many, many online trading communities advising people to take a bearish approach, which, as explained by Investopedia over here, is what short selling is all about, or how already back in April, amateur investors were in the headlines for making millions by shorting Trump's company stock. This approach really wouldn't be that shocking to take, guys. Now, the second thing, and this requires some critical thinking skills, is that Austin Private Wealth actually claimed that this was a reporting error. Now, as you can imagine, anybody with an introductory understanding of human psychology knows that upon hearing this, most people will scoff. And in fact, it'll serve as confirmation in their minds that the establishment really is trying to eliminate Donald Trump. But again, guys, this is too loud, it's too sloppy, and it's too amateurish. It's like this massive piece of cheese, so easy to access, so alluring for the mouse. without the mouse recognizing that there may in fact be a mousetrap there. And what people who scoff at this aren't pointing out is that the error wasn't just in relation to Donald Trump's company, but numerous other companies in the report too. Now, if they are in fact lying, guys, this can easily be exposed and discovered. And let's not delude ourselves. Donald Trump has many powerful friends within the government, within the field of law enforcement, and also within billionaire circles. And so for me, I'm more interested in how this error actually took place. Who was the third party in charge of their filing? Was it a hack? Because this seems like a very convenient way to send people tumbling down a rabbit hole of distraction. Now, with all that said, what I want to do is address how these stories have snowballed into a mountain of misinformation and delusional bullshit. So, first is the claim that BlackRock and Vanguard own the majority of shares in Austin Private Wealth. But this company is a domestic limited liability company, guys, in which the founders and the executives own the company, not external corporations. So that's false. The next thing is that Vanguard is allegedly owned by George Soros, which I have found no credentialed evidence verifying whatsoever. Then comes the alleged connections to the Bush family, which is allegedly through one of their high profile employees, James A. Baker III. Now, aside from the fact that James Baker, in fact, supports Donald Trump and voted for him and privately advised him on political policies, I've actually seen no palpable evidence that he even works for the company to begin with. Next is the alleged link to the Rothschild family, as mentioned by Russia Today and this website, which appears to be based in India. But again, guys, there is no evidence to back up this claim. Now, beyond Trump supporters desperately trying to make this high-level globalist establishment plot to assassinate Donald Trump, the next thing they try to do, which I suppose is kind of the same in their minds anyways, is they try to make this a left-wing plot. So this dude, for example, Tom MacDonald, who actually is pretty damn good at rapping, he wrongfully suggests that Thomas Crooks was politically on the left.
Thank God the left can't aim. Thank God the right don't riot. Welcome to the home of the brave. Freedom ain't afraid of violence. You wish you was dying? Bitch, you missed. Thank God the left can't aim.
But the reality is he was a registered Republican, guys. Then next is this image that's circulating online of a trans individual alleging that this is Thomas Crooks, when in fact this is somebody totally different. Then we have this post from Alex Jones where he's calling Austin Private Wealth, and I quote, a leftist investment company. But if you take a look at their charitable donations, you can clearly see conservative organizations like Gateway Church and Santa Cruz Catholic School, for example, both religious institutions. We also see The Refuge, which allegedly fights against child sex trafficking in Texas. And then we have Camp Young Judea, the Jewish Community Center, the ADL, Congregation Beth Israel, and Shalom Austin, all of which have very strong Zionist sentiments and have not spoken a word against Benjamin Netanyahu's war in Palestine. In fact, Dan Krause, the co-founder of Austin Private Wealth, he was previously the chair and held numerous positions in Shalom Austin. And then lastly, the people alleging this is a Mossad or Israeli plot because of the aforementioned connections, Donald Trump has been extremely pro-Zionist and pro-Israel, guys. In fact, he at one time commented favoringly on how the Israeli government allegedly controls the U.S. Congress.
You have between AOC and Omar and these people that hate Israel. They hate it with a passion. They're controlling Congress, and Israel is not a force in Congress anymore. It's just amazing. I've never seen such a change. And we're not talking about over a very long period of time. But I think you know exactly what I'm saying. They had such power. Israel had such power, and rightfully, over Congress, and now it doesn't.
So what are my thoughts on this massive shit show? Well, I think between this video and the last one that I made, in relation to the very popular narrative that the establishment is trying to seriously eliminate Donald Trump, simply does not make logical sense. Instead, if this is considered as a false flag attack, that would further entrench people in politics, that would promote division and distraction, and that would amplify the illusion that Donald Trump is some sort of a savior, or even on the lower level, that it would improve Trump's stocks in his company. This has been massively successful, guys. But what concerns me the most here, guys, is how so many people on the so-called right are clearly under the spell of mind control, just as so many people on the left were during the so-called pandemic. Because when people like Alex Jones or Tom MacDonald and other influential, otherwise sensible figures start to twist reality by suggesting that the alleged shooter was a leftist, or the company allegedly responsible is a leftist company, not only are they being unconsciously deceptive, but they are unconsciously promoting division, guys. And I assure you, that doesn't serve the people, that serves the system. And where once I saw this massive anti establishment movement on the rise, now all I see is a new kind of establishment that's undergoing a facelift. And this is why I always try to remind people that although you don't have to give them your admiration, you need to give respect in the sense that they are a formidable enemy, and you must never underestimate the parasite class. There are families that have been in power, not just for centuries, guys, but for millennia. Their sole occupation has been maintaining and expanding their power through deception, division, and population control. And what I see taking place when objectively assessing all of this is it further amplifies deception, division, and population control. Now, this doesn't mean that we cannot overcome these powerful families and individuals, because in my heart, I know that we can. But before we stand up and speak out, guys, we need to sit down and self educate. Now, I know that's much easier said than done, because for many people, we don't even know where to look. And this has actually prompted me to launch a podcast and a digital school for people who are fully aware of how serious what is taking place really is, where I will train people in the art of information and ideological warfare to help you truly know your enemy, and even more importantly, to know yourself. So until that time, guys, remember, their primary target is our minds. They want to drown us in deception, hatred, and fear, because this keeps us divided and fighting each other. But the real enemy is not the average person on the left or the right who genuinely thinks themselves to be aligned with something good. No, it's those who mindfully and skillfully weaponize us against one another. It's those who pretend to be humane, but inwardly are psychopaths that are hell bent on their own selfish agendas. So guard your mind vigilantly from these insidious influences that try to divide us, and then we must fight back intelligently, not just by using the truth, which at times can be difficult to ascertain, but also by using our shared humanity and simple human decency, which will promote unity.